pasta. What? Really? No pasta? Oh man. What am I gonna do? I guess that means I won't have spaghetti. Hey y'all, Rural Readiness here. So, do you think just because you don't have any pasta in your pantry that you can't have a pasta dish tonight? Well, I'm going to show you how you can make pasta pretty quick and easy. Okay, so this is my container that I keep on my counter with all-purpose flour in it. And I have regular salt. I've got 3 eggs out. And I've got some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to show you how to make homemade pasta without a machine, okay? Because I don't have one of those fancy machines, KitchenAid, pasta processor. I don't have any of that. So if you think that prevents you from having pasta, I'm going to show you that it doesn't have to. So I've got a separate bowl here, and my fancy smancy pasta cutter. So I'm going to crack these eggs in this bowl. Now, normally your measurements are 1 cup of flour and 1 egg, but these are kind of small. They're supposed to be large, but they're not. So I'm going to put an extra egg in there, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt to my eggs. Give or take. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil to my eggs. Now, I've seen all kinds of recipes. Some call for olive oil, some don't. Some call for eggs, some don't. This is how I do it, and it works out really well. Now I'm going to take my flour and I'm going to add 2 cups of flour to my bowl. Now I'm wearing a red shirt, so you know this is going to get all over my shirt, right? Just saying. But you know what? It's okay. I'm going to leave my lid off of my flour. My hands are clean, of course, but I'm going to be bringing flour out of my canister. So I'm going to leave it open. Okay? Move this stuff out of the way. Fork. Alright, so I'm going to push down in my bowl, and I'm going to make a well in my bowl. Okay? Some people do it on the counter. Some people do it in a bowl. Whatever works for you. This works for me. So I've got my liquids in this bowl. I'm going to mix them up. Stir them up really good. Then I'm going to pour this in the middle of my well. Alright, so I'm going to start stirring, mixing from the center, incorporating my flour slowly as I go. Keep mixing, gradually bringing in more of your flour from around the edge. You're gradually bringing in flour from around the edge of your well. It's gradually getting thicker and thicker. Keep going. Bringing in your flour from around the edge. It's getting thicker. It's getting thicker. So eventually it's going to get too thick to stir with your fork. Alright. So that's when you take it off your fork and you start mixing it by hand. All I'm doing is bringing up the edge, folding it to the middle, and pushing. I hear my wayward child coming home. There's no way to make a diesel truck quiet, so I'm pulling at the edges and pushing it. So now I'm going to dump this out on my counter. Now it's going to be tough. So if you think your dough is too dry, you can, and you have a lot of flour left, you can sprinkle a little water on your flour. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've got a little water here in a bowl. And I've got all this flour, so I'm going to drip. Just drip a little water into that flour and keep mixing. I'm using the heel of my hand to push it. So you keep working it. You're trying to get a smooth dough where it's not real clumpy. And it's going to take some time because when you don't have a machine, you know, this is how they did it back in the day before they had KitchenAids. You'll feel it get smoother and more elastic as you work it. And I'm sure there will be somebody out there that says you need to get you a KitchenAid. But my point is, just because you don't have a KitchenAid does not mean you can't make pasta. And how many people out there actually make spaghetti without a pasta machine? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's super easy, super simple. And just because you don't have a pasta machine to cut the pasta for you does not mean you can't have spaghetti. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is going to take you a minute. It will take you a minute, but there was spaghetti long before there was a KitchenAid. It's looking pretty good, feeling pretty smooth. Alright. There you go. There's your dough ball. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap this in cling wrap and let it rest for half an hour. Alright, I'm going to wrap this in cling wrap, airtight. Leave it on your counter for half an hour, at least half an hour, and let it rest. I will bring you back after that. Our dough ball has been resting for about a half an hour. So now I'm going to show you how to turn this into spaghetti. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unwrap the dough ball. Alright. So this makes a large amount of pasta. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. And the other piece, I'm going to wrap it up. This can go in the refrigerator until next time you need pasta. You can wrap it up, set it in the refrigerator, leave it there overnight, couple days even. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and I'm going to work with just this because it's just me and Josh. So I only need spaghetti for 2 people. So I'm going to show you how easy this is. So I'm going to flatten it out first. And this is where your rolling pin comes in hand. So I'm going to take my flour. I'm going to sprinkle some on my counter. Flatten it out. Flour my rolling pin. So when you make pasta, there is a critical piece of information that you need to remember, and that is roll your pasta out until it's very, very thin. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm pressing down a pretty good bit on this. Now, I'm not, mind you, it's not square. But you know what? It's okay. It's alright. Keep rolling. Because when your pasta, when your homemade pasta hits the water, it's going to puff up. So you want to make sure that you get it thin enough when you cut it. But it's so easy and so good. I'm keeping the top of it with a little flour on there. So do you see how you can see the speckles in my countertop? Can you see how thin that is? But I'm going to keep going. Make it thinner. Thin, thin. Alright, so I've kind of evened it up a little bit. Now, I'm going to take a little flour and put it between the layers, okay? So you take your knife. I use my finger, right? I kind of rest my finger up against the blade, and you just start cutting the thickness that you want your noodles to be. Putting your finger up against it helps you control the blade. That's what it looks like when you slice it up, right? So to keep it from sticking together, you're going to take just a little bit of flour. You're going to sprinkle it on your pasta to keep it from sticking. Okay? So there's that. So if you wanted more like a noodle, instead of like a spaghetti strand, you just cut them thicker. Or wider, I might say. You just cut them wider. So these are in between. This is more like a spaghetti. This is more like a noodle. These are in between. Not quite a spaghetti. Not quite a noodle. Okay? So if you wanted to save these for future use, so you can put these little balls of noodles on a baking sheet. Set them inside your oven with just your light on. Leave them overnight and they will dry out. And then you can take this ball of noodles and put them in a jar and vacuum seal them and save them for future use. This is fresh pasta. This is not pasta that you get out of the store. This is fresh pasta. So when you cook fresh pasta, you want to put your water on the stove and you want to salt it. Bring it to a boil. Drop your pasta in there and cook it for 3 to 5 minutes. And that is it. That is all you have to do to this pasta to get it done, to go in your dish. It's not the same as store-bought pasta. You don't have to cook it for that long. It's done a lot sooner than the store-bought dry pasta that you buy. So this is the noodle pasta. And this is the spaghetti pasta. And like I said, this is done with no KitchenAid. So if you're thinking that you have to have a KitchenAid in order to have pasta, this should show you that you don't have to have a KitchenAid. Would it be easier? Yes. Would it be quicker? Yes. But is it necessary? And the answer is no. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you give it a try. It's really easy and it tastes really good. So that's all I have for you today, and until next time, I'll see you later.